The scene opens on a foggy forest at dawn. The air is thick with mist, and the first rays of sunlight struggle to break through the canopy. The farmer, utterly exhausted, kneels on the damp, muddy ground. His clothes are torn, and he's covered in grime from the night's battle. Before him, a massive, shadowy figure writhes in agony, entangled in a heavy silver chain that glows with an ethereal light. The creature's howls of pain have subsided into guttural groans. The forest held its breath. As dawn's first light pierced the lingering fog, the night's violent symphony faded into an exhausted silence. The silver chain, a serpent of moonlight, pulsed with a faint, cold glow, each link searing the flesh of the captured beast. I was on my knees, the mud and rain a cold second skin. My body screamed with 100 different pains, but I was alive. My dogs, my loyal companions, stood panting around me, their watchfulness a silent testament to the battle we had just survived. The creature before me, the monster that had hunted these woods and haunted my dreams, was finally still. But as the sun climbed higher, a new and more terrible transformation began. The beast shuddered, not with rage, but with a deep, convulsive agony. The terrible claws, which had moments ago sought to tear me apart, began to shrink, retracting back into thickened fingertips. Its powerful snout shortened, the fearsome teeth receding. The coarse, dark fur, matted with blood and dirt, started to fall away in clumps, revealing pale human skin underneath. It was a horrifying, mesmerizing spectacle. The monster was being unmade piece by painful piece. I couldn't look away. I watched as the hulking, monstrous form contorted and shrank, the bones cracking and resetting under the skin. Then, I saw the eyes. The burning, predatory gold of the beast flickered, and for a fleeting moment, I saw a flash of familiar blue. Human eyes. Eyes I hadn't seen in years, now filled with an ocean of pain and regret. My breath caught in my throat. The face taking shape in the morning light was gaunt, scarred, and aged by a sorrow I couldn't comprehend, but it was unmistakable. It was my brother, Thomas, the brother who had vanished a decade ago, swallowed by the wilderness after a bitter argument, presumed dead by all. A wave of disbelief and horror washed over me. This couldn't be. The monster I had fought, the beast that had terrorized my land, was my own blood. He lay there, trembling and exposed, the last vestiges of the wolf dissolving like smoke. The real curse, I realized with a sickening lurch in my gut, was never the beast. It was the guilt I had carried for 10 long years. The world around me seemed to warp, the foggy woods of the present blurring with the memory of that fateful night. I saw us again, 2 young men standing under this very same moon. The air was thick not with fog, but with the poison of our words. We were arguing about the land, our inheritance. I content with my lot and he consumed by a burning greed for more. "It's not fair," he had screamed, his face a mask of fury. "You always get everything." His accusations had been knives, each one sharper than the last. I remember the betrayal in his eyes when I refused to yield, the final hateful words he spat before turning his back on me and stalking into the forest, vowing never to return. I had let him go. I had let pride and anger win, and I never saw him again, until now. The past and present collided. I saw his enraged face from that night, superimposed over his current pain-racked features. I saw my own younger self, stubborn and unyielding, now replaced by the broken man kneeling in the mud. The memory was a fresh wound, bleeding into the horror of the present moment. The chain wasn't just holding a werewolf. It was holding a decade of my own failure, my own unforgiveness. The weight of it all crushed me, heavier than any beast. He had been lost out here all this time, cursed, and I had been living my life, ploughing the very land that had torn us apart, haunted only by a ghost I never knew was still breathing. A weak, raspy voice pulled me from my trance. It was a sound I hadn't heard in 10 years, now barely a whisper. Jacob, my name spoken by the monster, by my brother. His eyes, now fully human, locked onto mine. They were filled with a desperate plea. "Only forgiveness ends the Blood Pact," he breathed, each word an immense effort. The Blood Pact, the curse. It wasn't just about the moon or some ancient magic. It was tied to us, to our broken bond, to the hatred that had festered in the dark. In that moment, all the anger, the resentment, the years of quiet blame I had held onto, it all melted away, replaced by a profound, heart-shattering sorrow. What had we done? Tears streamed down my face, mingling with the rain and the mud. I reached out a trembling hand, not to the beast, but to my brother. "I forgive you, Thomas," I choked out, the words feeling both impossibly heavy and miraculously light. "I forgive you." I don't know if I was forgiving him for his greed, for the terror he had wrought, or simply for leaving. Maybe I was forgiving myself. As the words left my lips, a change swept through him. The last of the monstrous form didn't just recede, it dissolved. His body began to shimmer, breaking apart into countless particles of silver dust, like embers from a dying fire. The heavy silver chain fell to the ground with a soft clink, its purpose served, its magic spent. The dust swirled around me, catching the golden rays of the rising sun. It was beautiful and heartbreaking all at once. The particles danced in the air, climbing higher and higher, before scattering on the morning breeze. My brother was gone. Truly gone this time, but he was free. The dogs, who had been silent observers, suddenly let out a collective howl. It wasn't a cry of aggression or victory, but something else entirely, a mournful, respectful farewell. As their voices faded, the forest came alive with the sound of chirping birds. The oppressive fog burned away completely, and a warm, golden light bathed the clearing, as if the world itself was sighing in relief. The curse was broken. Some monsters, I learned that day, don't die by silver but by mercy. I stood there for a long time, watching the spot where my brother had vanished. The sun was fully risen now, promising a new day. On the ground where the chain lay was a single glowing wolf print etched into the earth. Even as I watched, it began to fade, slowly, gently, until nothing was left but the damp soil of the forest floor. The nightmare was over. The land was quiet, and I was alone, truly alone, but for the first time in a decade I felt a sense of peace. The debt was paid, not in blood, but in forgiveness. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. It's stories like these that remind us of the power of forgiveness and redemption. If this tale moved you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more stories from the heart of the woods. Stay safe, be kind to one another, and we'll see you in the next video.